This morning you walked into the stable. Same as always, the same boots, the same path between the stalls, the same ritual you've repeated hundreds of times. And your horse was at the back of the stall. He didn't come toward you. You explained it somehow. He was eating. He was tired. He just didn't feel like it. But there's something nobody has told you. Horses don't pull away randomly. They don't stay at the back of the stall for no reason. Every time your horse doesn't come toward you, every time his ears go back when you approach, every time he takes a step away before you touch him, he is responding to something specific. And most likely, it's something you've been doing every day, convinced that it's fine. Today we're going to look at the 10 things that most horse owners do without realizing it, and that are silently eroding their horse's trust. Stay until number 10, because that one is not a mistake you make with your hands. It's the deepest mistake of all, and it's the one most people wish they had understood sooner. Number 1. You approach too fast and head on. Have you ever crossed the stable walking straight toward your horse without thinking twice? Most owners do, and most assume their horse simply knows there's no threat. But here's what happens in your horse's brain in that moment. A horse is prey by nature. Millions of years of evolution taught him one fundamental rule. Anything that moves fast and in a direct line toward you is a threat. It doesn't matter how many years you've had your horse. That instinct doesn't go away. Every time you approach too fast or too directly, his nervous system activates an alert response that can last several minutes. Studies on equine stress responses from the University of Rennes documented that horses take between 3 and 7 minutes to return to their baseline level of calm after an approach they perceived as threatening. Do that 5 times a day for months, and your horse isn't being difficult. He's being completely logical. Always approach at an angle, never in a direct line. Let him see you coming from far away. Give him time to process you before you arrive. Number 2. Your energy arrives before you do. Think about how you arrive at the stable after a hard day. Maybe you had a difficult meeting. Maybe you argued with someone. Maybe you're simply exhausted and frustrated. You walk into the stable thinking your horse won't notice. But he already noticed. Before you open the door, a horse's nose is between 1,000 and 10,000 times more sensitive than yours. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol. That cortisol has a specific smell that your horse detects from meters away. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute documented that horses not only detect their owner's emotional state through smell, they also remember it. If you consistently arrive with high, tense energy, your horse begins to associate your arrival with that energy. And instead of anticipating something positive when you appear, he starts preparing for something uncertain. Before entering the stable, take 3 deep breaths, drop your shoulders, change the pace of your steps to something slower and more deliberate. Your horse will feel it before he sees you. Number 3. You touch him without permission. There is a greeting protocol in the equine world that humans constantly ignore. When two horses meet, they don't simply touch each other. First, they smell, they evaluate, they process. And only after that exchange do they decide if there is enough trust to continue. When you go straight to touching your horse's face or neck without that prior process, you're not being affectionate. You're skipping the most basic protocol of equine communication. Your horse tolerates it. But tolerating it is not the same as choosing it. Over time, that difference accumulates a silent distance that many owners don't understand. Extend your closed hand before touching. Let your horse come toward you. When he presses his muzzle against your hand, that is his signal that he's ready. 2 seconds. That's all it takes. But those 2 seconds completely change how your horse experiences your touch. Number 4. You are unpredictable in your routine. Horses build security on one thing: predictability. In nature, unpredictability means danger. An owner who sometimes arrives at 7, sometimes at 10, sometimes comes in fast, sometimes slow, is an owner whose horse cannot model with confidence. And what cannot be predicted activates the alert system. Researchers from the University of Bristol who studied equine welfare in domestic environments found that horses with inconsistent routines showed significantly higher levels of behaviors associated with chronic stress. Not acute stress, but that low-level stress that builds day after day without anyone noticing. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be consistent in the things that matter most. The time you arrive, the order in which you do things, the way you enter the stall. Your horse doesn't need variety. He needs to know what to expect from you. Number 5. You push him when he's already reached his limit. Every horse has a threshold, a point up to which he can extend his tolerance, his concentration, his effort. When you reach that point and keep asking more repetitions, more time, more precision, you're not being persistent. You're teaching him that his signals don't matter. And horses that learn their signals have no consequences eventually stop sending them, not because they've accepted the situation, but because they learned that communicating serves no purpose. Studies on equine learning published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior documented that horses consistently exposed to pressure beyond their threshold develop what researchers call learned helplessness, a kind of resignation that dramatically reduces their capacity to trust and connect. Learn to finish earlier. The moment your horse gives a correct response, even a small one, and there, let that be enough. Because for him, in that moment, it is. Number 6. You punish him for being afraid. Has your horse ever been scared of something, a noise, an object, a movement, and your response was to push him, pull him, or become visibly frustrated? Most owners do it without thinking. The problem is what your horse learns in that moment. Fear is already an experience his nervous system wants to resolve quickly. When the person he trusts most responds to that fear with more pressure or with frustration, your horse learns something no owner would ever want to teach him. That being afraid is dangerous, that showing vulnerability has negative consequences, and horses that learn that don't make their fear disappear. They just learn to hide it. What looks from the outside like a horse that improved is sometimes simply a horse that stopped warning you that he's afraid. When your horse is scared, first stop, breathe, lower your energy before doing anything else. Your calm is the most important information you can give him in that moment. He doesn't need you to explain that there's no danger. He needs to feel in your body that there's no danger. Number 7. You only show up when you want something. Think about how many of your visits to the stable end in work. Riding him, training him, grooming him, vaccinating him. For many horses, most of the times their owner appears, there is an implicit demand, and horses learn that pattern with extraordinary speed. Over time, your arrival stops being something they anticipate with calm. It becomes the signal that something is going to be required. Their body prepares before you even touch them. That's not complicity, it's anticipation of demand. Researchers from the University of Lund who studied the human-horse bond found that time not dedicated to specific tasks, simply being present with no agenda, was one of the strongest predictors of the overall quality of the bond. Once a week, go to the stable with no plan. No riding, no training, no grooming. Just sit near him. Let him decide if he wants to come closer. When he does it without you having asked, that moment is worth more than a week of training. Number 8. You ignore what he's telling you. Ears back, a tail moving with tension, a hoof striking the ground, skin twitching without an insect. Each one of those gestures is a word. Your horse has no voice. He has a body, and his body speaks constantly. Every time you ignore those signals, or worse, every time you correct them instead of listening to them, you are telling your horse that his communication doesn't matter. Over time, a horse who feels that no one hears what he's saying stops trying to say it softly. The soft signals disappear, and what remains are signals that can no longer be ignored. That's not a horse that became difficult. It's a horse that had to turn up the volume because no one was listening when he spoke quietly. For the next 7 days, before doing anything with your horse, spend 3 minutes observing him, without touching him, without asking anything of him. Just watch him. Learn what his body looks like when he is completely comfortable, because only when you know what real calm looks like can you recognize when something is changing. Number 9. You interrupt his rest. Horses sleep in short cycles distributed throughout the day and night. And to reach the deep sleep that restores their nervous system, they need to lie down completely, something they only do when they feel absolutely safe. When you interrupt that rest, even to show him affection, even because you find it irresistibly adorable, you are taking away something his biology needs, and you accumulate an association you don't want to accumulate. Your presence equals interruption of rest. Over time, some horses stop lying down when they know their owner is nearby, not because they don't trust, but because they learned that deep rest and human presence don't coexist well. If you see your horse lying down and he's fine, walk past. Let him sleep. That moment of deep rest you are protecting is worth more for your bond than any caress you could give him. Number 10. This last mistake is not something you make with your hands. It's a mistake you make in your mind, and it's the most costly of all. Most horse owners think of themselves as the person who cares, who feeds, who pays, who decides, and they think of their horse as the animal that receives. That owner and possession relationship. But that's not what's happening. Your horse has the entire pasture available. He has freedom of movement in multiple directions. He has other horses. And yet, when the relationship is good, he comes toward you. Not because he has to, but because something in his biology, accumulated through thousands of interactions with you, tells him it's worth it. That decision doesn't sustain itself. It's built or eroded with every interaction, with every approach, with every moment of pressure, with every time you listened or ignored what he told you. The owners who generate the most confusion are not the ones who do bad things. They are the ones who do inconsistent things, who one day are patient and the next are frustrated, who one day listen to the signals and the next ignore them. Because horses don't judge intention, they judge the pattern. And the pattern you are building with each passing day is the only language your horse can read. Don't lose what you've already built. Because if there is one thing that the science of equine behavior has demonstrated clearly, it's that trust between a human and a horse is one of the most extraordinary things that can exist between species, and also one of the most fragile. It is built in months. It is eroded in days. Tell me in the comments which of these mistakes surprised you most. And if there's one you recognize in yourself, don't judge yourself. The fact that you're here, the fact that you want to understand, already says something important about the kind of owner you are, and about the kind of bond your horse deserves to have with you. VidEQ Sonnet 4.6